Welcome to Breaking News to Trading Moves. Imagine the Pentagon buying a billion-dollar fighter jet, but quickly realizing the software running inside the cockpit dictates its actual value on the battlefield far more than, the titanium it's made of.
Oh, absolutely. It's all about the software now.
Right. So today, we are looking at a headline that really proves software is eating the defense budget. And that headline is straightforward. Palantir raises its outlook as U.S. government AI demand accelerates.
Yeah, that is the exact data point we're evaluating here. I mean, Palantir raised its annual revenue forecast based on a surge in demand from commercial clients and, crucially, the U.S. government.
The government piece is key.
Totally. We're seeing artificial intelligence move past that, like, consumer chatbot phase.
Yes.
It's moving directly into the core of defense operations. We're talking real-time battlefield data analysis, command and control software, and, rapid enterprise decision-making.
Yeah, and for you listening, our mission for this conversation is to look strictly at that news item and break down the specific winners and losers. We'll go across software, defense, cloud infrastructure, and legacy IT services.
Right, map out who actually benefits.
Exactly. We're going to map out who benefits and who faces headwinds based entirely on these developments. You are watching AI evolve into a real operational engine for defense, and we're going to break down the mechanics of how that translates to capital rotation.
It's a massive capital rotation.
So let's start with the immediate beneficiaries, right? The software and government AI platforms.
While federal agencies and defense departments are aggressively allocating capital toward AI, analytics, and mission-critical software, Palantir's increased forecast is just a very clean indicator of this spending behavior.
A bellwether, kinda?
Yeah, exactly. But they aren't the only ones capturing these contracts. The clear winners in this space, they share three specific characteristics. They have decades of classified project experience, deeply entrenched federal relationships, and proven defense software capabilities that, actually work in highly secure environments.
Yeah, let's put some actual names to this for everyone. The prominent companies in this category are Palantir, ticker PLTR, Leidos, ticker LDOS, and Booz Allen Hamilton, ticker BAH.
Right, those are the main ones.
But let's get into the mechanics of why these specific companies have such a distinct advantage right now. Like, why can't a commercial tech startup just walk into the Pentagon and sell them some brilliant new AI tool?
Because the barrier to entry isn't just about writing good code. It's about navigating the entire federal security apparatus.
Which is famously easy, right?
Right, exactly. When we talk about classified networks, we're dealing with environments like SIPRNet or JWICS. These are isolated, highly secure networks used by the Department of Defense.
So a startup just can't get in?
No, not at all. A commercial startup doesn't have the cleared personnel or the facility security clearances to even access those systems, let alone deploy software on them.
Wow, yeah.
Companies like Booz Allen Hamilton and Leidos, they have armies of personnel with top-secret clearances. They actually know how to integrate complex algorithms into environments where a single data breach is literally a matter of national security.
Right. And with Palantir, it's about their specific software architecture, right? They use this concept called an ontology.
Yes. The ontology is central to what they do.
For anyone listening who isn't familiar, an ontology in this context is basically a way of mapping raw data to real-world objects. So instead of just looking at a spreadsheet of GPS coordinates, Palantir's software translates that data into a visual representation of a tank, its fuel level, and its current trajectory on a map.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Because the military doesn't want raw data. They want a targeting solution or a logistics pathway.
Make it actionable.
Exactly. Palantir's platform ingests all this fragmented data from satellites, ground sensors, supply chain manifests, and then fuses it into a single operational picture.
Which explains why their government demand is accelerating so much.
Yeah, they provide an out-of-the-box system that turns chaotic battlefield data into actionable intelligence.
But software needs a physical home, right? It doesn't just float in the ether.
No, it definitely requires hardware.
And that brings us to a crucial causal link in this ecosystem. Government and enterprise AI require a massive underlying physical and digital infrastructure. You need robust cloud environments, physical data centers, GPUs, and deployment platforms to, actually run these complex AI models.
You really cannot run advanced battlefield analytics or predictive command software without the digital backbone to support the sheer volume of compute power required.
The compute is staggering.
It is. That makes the infrastructure providers the secondary but equally critical winners in this environment. For government cloud and enterprise AI demand, the main beneficiaries are Microsoft, ticker MSFT, and Amazon, ticker AMZN.
And what about the physical chips?
Right, if organizations need the actual silicon the chips required to render these AI models and analytic systems, NVIDIA, ticker NVDA, remains the primary provider.
Okay, let's examine the mechanics of that cloud infrastructure for a second. Microsoft and Amazon aren't just selling the same commercial cloud space to the Pentagon that they sell to, like a retail company, are they?
Oh, no, absolutely not. They've had to build entirely separate, physically isolated data centers. They're often referred to as GovCloud.
GovCloud, right.
And those have to comply with extreme military security protocols. That physical separation is completely mandatory.
So they can't share servers with civilian data at all?
Never. The Department of Defense requires continuous monitoring, biometric access controls at the actual physical data centers, and specialized encryption standards.
That sounds incredibly expensive.
It is. Microsoft and Amazon have spent billions constructing these bespoke environments. So when Palantir wins a new contract to deploy AI for an Army division, the compute power required to run that AI model drives localized demand for Microsoft's Azure or Amazon's AWS GovCloud.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, the software and the infrastructure are just permanently tethered together.
I do want to pose a sort of logistical question here, though. Are federal agencies actually equipped to manage these incredibly complex cloud environments seamlessly?
Seamlessly. Not always, no.
Right, because it seems like migrating decades of old military data into a modern cloud architecture just to run AI could be a massive bottleneck. Does that slow down the deployment?
Look, the migration process is absolutely a friction point. Moving data from on-premise servers built in, say, the 1990s into a modern cloud environment takes a lot of time.
I can imagine.
However, the demand outlined in our headline indicates that rather than stalling the adoption, this necessity is precisely what drives the elevated multi-year spending with the cloud providers.
Oh, wow. So they have to spend more to fix it.
Exactly. The government recognizes that without modernizing the data layer first, they just can't deploy the AI. The compute bottleneck is actually the catalyst for the infrastructure contracts.
Think of it like buying a fleet of high-tech vehicles, right? You get these amazing cars, the software platforms like Palantir, but then you quickly realize you also need to build specialized highways and fuel stations just for them to operate.
That is a perfect analogy, yeah.
That clarifies the relationship. The friction forces the upgrade.
So we've covered the software platforms and the cloud backbone. Let's move from the digital infrastructure into the physical realm. This brings us to our second group of winners, the data-driven defense primes.
Right. Modern defense spending is becoming heavily data-driven. The large defense primes benefit specifically when AI software gets bundled into physical battlefield assets.
Because software is blind without physical sensors to feed it information.
Exactly right.
We're talking about drones, advanced radar, satellites, missile defense systems, and secure communications arrays. The positive read-through here is for companies building the physical platforms that create and utilize battlefield data.
And the specific names capturing this momentum are Lockheed Martin, ticker LMT, Northrop Grumman, ticker NOC, and RTX, ticker RTX. So how does that work in practice?
Well, consider the concept of software-defined warfare. A modern radar system built by RTX isn't just a spinning dish that beeps when a plane flies by anymore.
Right, it's not the 1940s.
Exactly. It's a highly sophisticated data collection node. It tracks thousands of objects, classifies their speed and trajectory, and then instantly feeds that massive data set into an AI platform like Palantir.
And then the software takes over.
Yes, the software then analyzes the threat level and automates a response protocol.
It makes me think about the modern smartphone. You and I, we know the physical outer shell, the glass and the metal casing is essentially just a vehicle for the operating system, the camera sensors, and the data fusion capabilities running inside it.
Yep, the hardware is just the host for the software.
Exactly. A fighter jet or a surveillance drone operates on a very similar principle now. The value isn't just in the aerodynamics, it's in the sensor suite and the processing power. I want to ask you, though, to break down how data creation on the battlefield translates directly to market momentum for these specific primes. Like, why these three?
Because Lockheed, Northrop, and RTX are the primary architects of the sensor networks. They build the F-35s, the Aegis combat systems, and the advanced satellite constellations.
They own the data generation.
They do. As the Pentagon increases its budget for AI and battlefield analytics, They inherently must invest in the hardware that generates the highest fidelity data.
Garbage in, garbage out, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
An AI targeting system is useless if it's fed low-resolution data from an outdated drone. The budget dollars flow toward hardware that natively integrates with modern software layers.
The hardware acts as the eyes and ears for the AI brain. That gives us a very clear picture of the winners across software, cloud infrastructure, and modern data-driven hardware.
But there's always a flip side.
There is. Federal budgets, even defense budgets, are finite. When capital allocation accelerates aggressively in one direction, it naturally drains from another. That brings us to the companies facing headwinds in this environment. Let's start with legacy IT and standalone analytics.
Finite budgets force prioritization. As agencies prioritize ready-made AI platforms, the capital required to fund them moves away from older systems and standalone tools.
So let's look at the legacy IT consulting services first.
Yeah, as Palantir's model gains traction, it takes market share from the slower, labor-heavy government technology models.
And the companies facing tougher comparisons and market headwinds here are Accenture, ticker ACN, Science Applications International, ticker SAIC, and CACI International, ticker CACI.
Right.
Let's break down the mechanics of this. What exactly is a legacy IT consulting model in the context of the federal government?
Historically, if the Department of Defense wanted a new data system to track, say, global logistics, they wouldn't buy a software product off the shelf.
Because it didn't exist.
Right. They would issue a contract to a systems integrator. That company would then hire hundreds of consultants, programmers, and project managers to manually build a custom system from scratch.
That sounds slow.
Oh, incredibly slow, often taking 3 to 5 years to stitch together various outdated databases.
Think of that old legacy model like wanting to buy a house, right? But instead of buying a fully furnished, move-in ready house, which is Palantir, you buy a pile of bricks and hire a contractor to build it over 3 years.
That's a great way to put it.
What Palantir and these modern software platforms offer is essentially the move-in ready house. You install it, and it instantly maps all those different database languages into one unified picture.
That analogy highlights the exact reason for the capital rotation. Agencies increasingly prefer these ready-made platforms because they can be deployed in weeks rather than years.
Time is money.
And security. The military doesn't want to pay for thousands of billable consulting hours if a software product already exists that solves the problem. This preference directly pressures the margins and growth rates of companies relying heavily on body shop consulting and manual systems integration.
Let me challenge this a bit, though. Doesn't the concept of technical debt mean some agencies have no choice but to use custom consulting?
What do you mean?
Well, if the Navy is running a supply chain database built on code from 1985, a modern AI platform can't just seamlessly plug into that. Don't they still need the legacy IT firms to untangle the mess first?
Technical debt is a massive reality, and you're right that highly outdated databases require manual intervention. Those legacy IT companies will still secure contracts for maintenance and modernization.
So they aren't going to zero.
They aren't going to zero. However, the market momentum we're discussing is based on forward-looking growth. The finite budget dollars for new high-margin projects are prioritizing the rapid deployment software models.
Right, the new money.
Exactly. The consulting firms will still get paid to do the plumbing, but the premium valuations and the aggressive growth multiples are being awarded to the software creators.
Okay, so the maintenance work remains, but the growth engine has moved elsewhere. What about the analytics side? We talked about software platforms winning, but aren't there specific types of data software that are losing out in this environment?
Yes, we see a clear division within the software sector itself. The headline regarding Palantir's momentum shows that government and commercial customers increasingly want full AI operating systems.
They want the whole package.
Right. They want a platform that connects data ingestion, analysis, decision-making, and automation into one unified workflow. Because of this, it's becoming a tougher market for standalone tools that only do one piece of that puzzle.
And the names in the standalone category facing pressure are Snowflake, ticker SNOW, Datadog, ticker DDOG, and Elastic, ticker ESTC. Explain the mechanical difference here. Why does a company like Snowflake face headwinds against an integrated AI platform?
Well, Snowflake is an exceptionally powerful data warehouse. Its primary function is to store, organize, and retrieve massive amounts of data efficiently.
Which is important.
Very important. And Datadog is excellent at monitoring cloud applications and providing dashboards to show system health. But those are discrete functions.
They only do one thing.
Exactly. A military commander doesn't just want a dashboard showing where their supplies are stored. They want an AI model that predicts a supply shortage, identifies the nearest available cargo plane, and automatically drafts the deployment orders.
That makes sense.
Standalone tools require the customer to manually stitch different software products together to achieve that outcome. Integrated platforms do it natively.
So, if a software tool only monitors data or stores data, but doesn't offer the automated decision-making workflow, it loses out on the premium defense contracts.
That's the reality of the market right now.
Let's move to the final category we're examining today, the traditional defense hardware providers.
Right. Just as legacy software models fall out of favor, traditional defense contractors that lack strong AI, sensor, or autonomy integration are losing market enthusiasm.
It's all connected.
It is. If defense spending keeps moving toward software-defined warfare and real-time data fusion, the companies primarily exposed to traditional mechanical manufacturing will not capture the same investor attention.
And we're looking at General Dynamics, ticker GD, Huntington Ingalls, ticker HII, and Textron, ticker TXT. Let's be very clear for everyone listening about what we mean by losers in this context. We are not suggesting these companies are going bankrupt or losing their core utility.
Far from it. Huntington Ingalls builds nuclear-powered aircraft carriers. General Dynamics builds nuclear submarines and Abrams tanks.
We still need those.
The U.S. military absolutely still requires these massive physical assets, and they allocate billions of dollars to procure them.
So the distinction is really about capital rotation and growth multipliers. An aircraft carrier is a necessary platform, but it's a slow-growth, highly capital-intensive manufacturing process.
Yeah.
The explosive growth, the higher profit margins, and the investor excitement are all centered around the software, the advanced radar arrays, and the data fusion systems that sit on top of the carrier. Huntington Ingalls builds the physical ship, which is essential, but RTX and Lockheed Martin build the sensor networks that turn that ship into a modern data node.
That's the core differentiator. The markets favor clearer exposure to AIs, autonomy, and data networks. Companies focus primarily on traditional metal bending and hull construction, just don't possess the same software-driven margins.
The margins are entirely different.
Oh, totally. When investors look at the defense budget, they see the percentage allocated to AI and technology growing at a much faster rate than the percentage allocated to traditional shipbuilding or ground vehicles.
It's all about relative momentum and where the new capital is flowing. If the budget pie expands, the slice dedicated to AI and data fusion is growing at the fastest.
Precise.
So we've mapped out the factual landscape based purely on this news item. The software platforms like Palantir and the cloud infrastructure providers are capturing the immediate contract momentum. The data-driven hardware primes are capturing the hardware integration budgets.
Right.
Conversely, legacy IT consulting, standalone data storage, and traditional mechanical hardware are facing the headwinds of finite budgets moving toward faster, smarter systems.
Which brings us to the core trading angle that synthesizes this factual breakdown. AI is definitively a defense and enterprise operations reality.
It's here to stay.
It is. For traders, the core question generated by this environment is this: does Palantir's accelerating growth lift the entire defense tech ecosystem, acting as a catalyst that pulls the cloud providers and the data-driven primes up with it? Or do investors treat Palantir, ticker PLTR, as the solitary definitive winner in this space? Meaning, do they choose to rotate their money directly out of slower software and legacy IT services just to fund that single position?
That is the exact capital flow question you need to evaluate as you look at these markets. Look at the mechanisms of how these companies interact and follow where the actual defense dollars are being obligated.
Fold money.
Always. I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as we conclude. If ready-made AI platforms and data fusion capabilities truly become the baseline requirement for all future government contracts, how long until the primary barrier to entry for defense tech becomes entirely about securing advanced computing power, rather than a 100-year history of traditional military manufacturing? This is not financial advice or buy or sell recommendations. This is purely the opinion of the author.